Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
The prequel to the motion picture The Third Man, The Lives of Harry Lime, and this in fact stars Orson Welles, as this episode originally broadcast February 15th, 1952, and it's entitled, The Dead Candidate.
Presenting Orson Welles as The Third Man. The Lives of Harry Lime. The fabulous stories of the immortal character, originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Karas.
Here now is a story of power politics and international intrigue. I got mixed up in it because I decided, just for a change of pace, to earn an honest living. I got myself the concession in Milenia for Buzzo. Buzzo being, as you probably know, a popular soft drink, and Milenia being, as you probably don't know, a small island republic in the Mediterranean. The concession I won in a crap game. As it just happened, the dice were loaded in my favor. But the way things turned out, I'd have been luckier if I'd lost. Stick around, I'll tell you about it.
And now, Orson Welles as Harry Lime, the third man, in today's story, The Dead Candidate.
Hello. Sea's nice and calm, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're getting off Milenia City?
That's right.
Me too.
For goodness sakes, what for?
Buzzo.
I'm going to get married. But what about you?
Buzzo.
You keep saying that. Sounds like Buzzo.
That's right, Buzzo. Millions of people keep saying it. Keep drinking it, too.
Oh, sure. I remember. Buzz off with Buzzo.
That's it. The drink thrill for a nickel. I have the concession for Milenia. Yes, I'm carrying the Buzzo gospel to its last frontier. Aren't you pretty young to be getting married?
Listen, how would you like to be called Krause? You're never too young to change a name like that.
I suppose not.
A lady in Washington told my fortune in a teacup for 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what she said? She said I'm going to marry a diplomat and take a journey across the sea. And look, it's true. Only what do you think the diplomat's doing now in the bar?
Getting drunk.
No, playing stud poker with that Greek from the second class.
Is your fiancé a card shop?
No, he's just a diplomat. Consul General in Washington for the Millennium Republic. Someday, he says, they're going to let him be the Millennium Secretary of State.
That sounds wonderful. When's the wedding?
I don't know. I guess just as soon as I fall in love with him. And there he is, playing poker. Looks like it's going to be an awfully long engagement.
How about breaking the monotony? I warn you, Miss Krause. You're very pretty. I'm going to kiss you.
Okay. That was nice. What's your name?
Harry Lime.
All right, Harry. You go right ahead and kiss me again.
I hope I'm not interrupting anything.
Oh, Joachimo, you wouldn't care if you
well,
were.
I guess I'll be running along.
Yeah, don't unless you want
really,
to.
I must. Well, be seeing you.
Don't you want to know who that was?
I don't know or care, really. I'll choose my own occasions for being jealous, darling. You can't force these things.
You're not a Latin at all, Joachimo.
Of course I am.
When I think of Latins, I think of guitars like the one that's playing now, and a moon like that, and a balcony.
Darling, I don't think a balcony is provided on this boat.
You wouldn't know what to do with it if there was one.
What do you do with a balcony?
Romeo climbed
He
it.
did not. He got over the garden wall, all right, but the balcony was too much for him. That's the whole purpose of a balcony, to present the opposite sexes to each other with maximum visibility and minimum availability. It's our romantic Latin natures. We prefer reading the fine print only after the contract is signed.
You know what you are, Joachimo?
What?
You're a poop. here you are going on about women in general, when just 2 minutes ago your woman in particular was being kissed.
Oh, yes, I forgot to ask you. What was that fellow's name?
Harry Lime.
Never heard of him. Did I tell you I lost the poker game?
Listen, Joaquimo, I want to talk to you seriously.
Oh?
I don't care how Latin you are. Just because we don't love each other is no reason why we have to get married.
Let's sleep over it.
I don't want to sleep.
You'd better. We're getting into port early tomorrow morning.
I never should have let him go. That was my mistake.
Who, that fellow Lime?
That fellow Lime. He's not just that fellow Lime.
Oh, then who is he?
He's Harry Lime.
And what of it?
You mean to tell me you never heard of J. Harry Lime?
Never.
I'm surprised at you. Honestly, I am. How long were you in Washington?
What's that got to do with it?
You were the diplomatic representative of your country, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Haven't you any idea why Harry Lime is going to Milenia?
Why?
You don't know?
No, I don't.
To look things over for the president, that's all.
The president of Milenia?
No, the president of the United States.
And what's he got to do with the president?
What has Harry J. Lime got to do with the president?
I thought it was J. Harry Lime.
It's the same thing.
You mean he's one of those presidential advisors?
The president doesn't make a move without him. Oh. Of course, you don't see his picture much in the papers. He likes to keep behind the scenes.
But, Susie, you're always making up stories. I'll bet this is another one. If the president were sending somebody to Milenia, we would have heard about it.
But this is unofficial.
Oh?
Yes, that's the way he always works. Unofficially, incognito. This time he's pretending to be a representative for Buzzo.
For what?
You know, buzz off with Buzzo. It's a soft drink.
Very interesting, very interesting. I tell you what, Susie, if you go down that companionway and then up by the prow, you can see the porpoises.
The who?
Porpoises.
What of it?
They're phosphorescent.
I don't care.
Well, go and look at them anyway. I'll be with you in a minute.
Well, at least you're being forceful. That's some improvement.
I'm just going to send the cable there. I'll be right with you.
Yeah?
You're the wireless man, aren't you?
That's me.
You've been playing your guitar very nimbly.
Thanks. You want to hear something special?
Yes, amigo. The sound of your quick hand on the telegraph key. A nation's fate depends on you. Now, see if you can take this from dictation. It should be in code, of course, but then code costs a little money, and a little money is exactly what my country doesn't have. Malinian Foreign Ministry. Most secret, most urgent. Lime, repeat, Lime, first name Harry, arrives Milenia City, my ship, tomorrow. Am I going too fast for you?
Yeah, that's okay.
Good. For your information, this Lime is the American president's chief confidential advisor. Lime's purpose visiting Milenia, obvious. Stop. Certain, I need not remind you that our repeated attempts to obtain financial aid for Milenia from Washington have been always rebuffed due to American prejudice against what they refer to as, quote, dictatorship, unquote, stop. This presidential advisor, Lime, will be looking for evidence of despotism, brutality, and terrorism in a police state. Need I say that he will not find any such thing? Repeat, Lime will not find any such thing. Yours, democratically, Joaquimo.
Is that all?
Right, send it straight wire.
That'll be $20, mister.
My fiancée will pay you. Good night.
Good morning.
Good morning, Harry. Well, we're almost ready to land. Have you ever been to Milenia before, Harry?
No, I haven't, Susie.
I just thought I'd ask.
Looks nice from here, all those banners and flags. Must be a holiday, huh?
Don't you know what's going on yet?
No, I don't think about this place.
Well, it's an awful little dictatorship for one thing. Harry, what are you really doing?
What do you mean really doing? Buzzo. That's what I'm doing. Buzzo.
Oh, you just keep on saying Buzzo.
Well, people keep on drinking Buzzo.
Not in Milenia. They drink Abomino. It's made out of the rinds of tangerine.
Well, the days of Abomino are drawing to a close. What's that noise?
I think it's the Milenia national anthem. Look, there's a pilot coming out to meet
Yeah,
us.
they've got an orchestra on the pilot boat, too. They're really going to town.
Harry, I'm afraid I've started something. Will you take my advice?
Gladly.
The first thing you do when you meet the dictator is to get him to sign over that Buzzo concession. Now's the time.
Yes, but how do
Harry.
I get to see the dictator?
He's coming out to meet you.
Sure, with all his cabinet.
That's right, with all his cabinet.
Have you got any money?
There's $3 left in my purse. Why?
Wonderful. You can take me to dinner tonight. Later in the season, when the citizens start buzzing off with Buzzo, I'll take you.
But we're all having dinner together.
We're all having it. Joaquimo is coming, too? All right.
Not only Joaquimo, the president's wife, the cabinet, and everybody.
By the president, you mean this dictator, Admiral, who's this?
Admiral Cuchibamba and Lolita.
Lolita.
You know, the famous Lolita.
That's Mrs. Cuchibamba.
It's Mrs. Dictator.
And we're all having dinner at the same table?
That's right.
You're kidding.
Look at those banners on the dock. Here, take my binoculars.
Thanks.
Read what the banners say.
Viva Harry Lime. That's funny. You know what it looks like? It looks like Viva Harry Lime.
That's what it says, all right.
I give you my word, that's how it happened. It wasn't my doing at all. Here I was actually trying to hustle an honest buck. Here I was going straight. And look what I got into. Politics. Susie managed to explain the situation to me just before the official greeting committee got on board. She'd only meant to impress her boyfriend, and here was the whole Millennium Republic, or rather dictatorship, turning itself out to impress me. First, I was surrounded by numberless, dusty-faced little gents, all jingling with medals, and then I was confronted by the fabulous Lolita. Lolita, with her regrettable egrets, her very white, sharp little teeth, baleful green eyes, and skin like uncolored marzipan.
Senor Lime, in the name of our glorious leader, my husband, I bid you welcome to the island paradise of Milenia. Viva Milenia!
Viva Milenia!
Viva Harry Lime!
Viva Harry Lime!
Viva Lolita!
Viva Lolita!
On shore, a lot of beat-up-looking characters without any shoes had been issued armloads of paper roses. They threw the roses at me. Then I was put in an open car with Lolita, and off we went for a triumphal tour of the island.
Orson Welles returns in just a moment as the third man.
February 15th, 1952, The Lives of Harry Lime on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more The Lives of Harry Lime, starring Orson Welles, February 15th, 1952.
And now, Orson Welles, as the third man, continues with today's story, The Dead Candidate.
As of 6:30 that afternoon, I was still an honored guest of the Millennium State, and a banquet was scheduled in my honor. We take you now to the presidential palace, where Lolita is pinning herself into her evening dress. The admiral, his medals all arranged, is waiting for her on the other side of the screen.
See who that is, Sugar Plum.
It's Joachimo.
Your Excellency.
Yes, Joachimo?
My Uncle Isidro is fading fast. I expect to hear any moment that he has taken wing.
Too bad. The best foreign minister I ever had.
I gather I inherit the post.
But what the...
Please don't bother to object, Your Excellency. My Uncle Isidro has recovered speech long enough to brief me on the job.
What do you mean?
Signora, the essential for a post in your husband's government is information.
I cannot remember that your Uncle Isidro was ever Minister of Information.
He was Minister of Culture, which is a title, and Chief of Secret Police, which is a fact. In Milenia, the information is politically important in direct relation to who has it about who. Uncle Isidro had lots and lots about everybody. A legacy is handing down to me. But don't worry, all the dirt will be as closely guarded as before. I look upon this as a point of family honor.
And I look upon it as a form of blackmail.
I suggest we stop bickering, Signora, and get down to immediate questions of state.
Such as?
Such as persuading this Harry Lime to use his influence in Washington to get us some of that money.
And how are we going to do that?
Oh, that's easy, by convincing Lime that Milenia is really a democracy.
No. These phony demonstrations of democracy for Lime's benefit have put us in a difficult position.
Difficult. Just take the speech Lolita made today.
What about my speech?
Signora, it was dynamite.
You promised the people freedom of speech, freedom of worship, shorter hours, higher pay, old age benefits, and hot lunches for the children in school. Naturally, there was applause. We don't even have a school to serve the lunches in.
That was just for Lime's benefit. Did we get his name on a check?
It's not that easy.
Free press, free speech, free lunches. The next thing they will be wanting to vote.
That's just what I was going to suggest.
You what?
We must, in the words of Shakespeare, busy giddy minds with the presidential campaign.
You mean with more than one candidate?
And ballots to fill out?
We're trying to look like a democracy, aren't we? Well, what could be more convincingly democratic than a presidential election?
That's just silly.
I must say I agree with Lolita. The idea of a presidential election in Milenia is silly.
May I ask why?
Why? Because there's only me to vote for.
Suppose we find someone else.
Why should we?
You mean somebody on our side, somebody safe. Me, for instance. Signora Presidente sounds rather nice.
Now, sweetmeat, let's not get ourselves excited.
Since a communist menace is just as necessary to an election, it's my suggestion we combine the two.
And you want me to run against the Red?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to find one?
Well, I did think of Campo.
Campo? We only called him a Red. Poor old Campo. I'd almost forgotten him. He was nothing but a milk and water social democrat. Besides, the real trouble with Campo is he is dead.
Who's Campo, Sugar Plum?
Before your time, sweetmeat. Campo was president of the Republic before the coup d'etat.
What did he die of?
Oh, some of the boys were chasing him.
The boys?
My boys.
It was fairly rough going in the last days of the Civil War, senor.
You know the sea cliff up west of the country club above the prison camp called Lover's Leap? Well, Campo left. We told the people that he fled, escaping justice by leaving the country, which is, after all, more or less what happened. By the way, where's Lime?
In the Grand Imperial Hotel in his suite. He wanted a hot bath.
If he gets it at the Grand Imperial, he made history.
While I was in America, Excellency, I made quite a survey of election campaign methods. And in many cities and even in some states,
Sweetmeat, make me another drink.
Look, I'm sorry to press this point, but I'm not mistaken, am I, in the belief that we're facing a real crisis?
Crisis? Bankruptcy? Not too much water, sweetmeat.
Now, to get back to the American elections.
Don't eat so many nuts, Sugar
Let
Plum.
us say that some political machine is challenged by a reform party. Yes? Well, first, if this other party gets a bigger vote, there's the venerable tradition of dropping the ballot boxes in the river. But the best tactic is to ensure victory from the outset, and for this purpose, the cemetery is best.
The what?
What good the cemetery?
Party workers are sent to the public graveyards. They consult the names on the tombstones and make careful lists which come in very handy on election day. There's no better way of getting a comfortable majority for the straight party ticket. Really, there's nothing more reliable than a dead voter. Now, my idea is even better. Without boasting, I feel it bears the hallmark of true statesmanship.
All right. What is it?
I'll put it simply.
I doubt that, but go on.
If you can improve your chances in political campaigns by using dead voters, why not make absolutely sure?
Fine. But how do you do it?
Isn't it obvious? A dead candidate.
Naturally, I wasn't present for any of these secret meetings of state, but later I managed to piece it all together in jail. How did I happen to be in jail? We're coming to that, but just for a minute, let's review the situation. The Milenian dictatorship was busy turning itself into a democracy to put it over on Harry Lime, who in turn was putting it over on Milenia. The banquet, in my honor, of course, was a big do in which all the guests got themselves nicely tanked up on a bomino. I managed finally to get away for a taxi ride with Susie. The driver took us up to a place called Lover's Leap.
Lover's Leap is what they call it, senorita. But Campo's Leap is the real name.
Campo? That's the name of the man who's going to run in the election. They told us about it tonight, Harry.
Sure they did.
But, driver, you don't mean to say he jumped in the ocean from here.
Senorita, he did not have any choice.
But he couldn't have lived.
Oh, we have always told ourselves that he did, senor. A sardine boat picked him up, and someday he comes sailing back and deliver Milenia from its bondage.
But, driver, haven't you heard about the election?
Maybe the driver wasn't at the bank.
Oh, that's true. Well, driver, they just announced the election tonight. Campo is going to run for president.
Too bad.
Well, why too bad?
Well, you said they were running him for president.
Yes.
Then he must certainly be dead.
Yes, but what happens if they elect him?
Elect who?
The dead candidate, of course. It's your idea. What happens if this social democrat, this Campo, wins the election?
Senor, of course he'll win it.
How can he if he's dead?
That's just what makes it such good politics. We encourage the popular notion that Campo is alive. And since he's not, he's the perfect candidate to run against the Admiral.
But that means Sugar Plum will be defeated.
Yes, the voting public is notoriously ungrateful. But listen to this, senor. We rig it so that Campo apparently announces that infirmity and old age make it inadvisable for him to return from exile.
I should think so. The man's dead.
Meanwhile, up on Campo's Leap, the Millennium moon was still going full force.
Harry,
Yes, Susan?
come closer.
Closer? With pleasure.
No, keep your head up. I want to get a look at you.
Ah, senorita, you have noticed it as well.
Driver, you're a very nice driver, I'm sure, but I wish you'd go away.
No, senor, no. You will be needing me to drive you to the hospital.
Hospital?
It's true. You're coming out in spots, isn't he, driver?
Yes, and just wait till you see him tomorrow morning.
Spots? What kind of spots?
Millennium measles, senor. That'll be 3 weeks at least, senor, in quarantine.
Well, that's wonderful news. Orson Welles, The Lives of Harry Lime, February 15th, 1952, The Dead Candidate. Thank you so much for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The conclusion follows these important messages from your favorite radio station. Here's Mike Lindell talking about getting your best friend something special.
And Mike, you've done it again. You've brought us an amazing line of dog beds.
This has been a long time coming. It starts with the same patented fill for your dogs now as we do my pillow. I wanted everything covered in sizes from your largest dog to your smallest dog. You can throw them in the washer and dryer. The dogs love it. They asked, and here they are. This is why you get the dog bed. This is the main reason. The dogs love it.
And you've got that 10-year warranty, right?
I can do it because the dogs love it. They don't want to wreck their bed.
And you can get these MyPillow dog beds at a price lower than the big box stores, as low as $19.95. Call 1-800-928-4715, 1-800-928-4715, or go to mypillow.com/pet and use my promo code Wyatt. Treat your best friend to a MyPillow dog bed, mypillow.com/pet. Promo code Wyatt. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of The Lives of Harry Lime starring Orson Welles, February 15th, 1952.
Millennium measles. That's what I had to thank for missing the better part of the history-making Millennium election campaign. However, Susie, who came daily to push fresh fruit through the bars of the pest house, kept me pretty closely informed.
Come in, come in.
Is this your office, Fatima?
Yes, excuse the shirt sleeves, but we're awfully busy in here.
With all those titles on the door?
Yes, I'm now acting Minister of Culture. Have a drink. Chief of Secret Police and the Admiral's campaign manager. Here you are.
Thanks, Fatima. Well, this is Buzzo.
Certainly it's Buzzo. The stuff is sweeping a bomino right off the market.
Now tell me about Campo.
Campo's doing almost as well.
And Friezo?
Friezo, never heard of him. No, besides the Admiral, Campo's the only candidate.
Friezo isn't a candidate. It's a drink.
You mean like Buzzo?
Well, Friezo is better than Buzzo, really, if you ask me.
I didn't. Lime gave me a nice percentage of the Buzzo concession, and there's no need for competition.
Competition is democracy.
Exactly. Here, let me read you Campo's dying words. I just wrote them. Beloved fellow countrymen, you see, we thought we'd best let him die officially just on the election eve. More dramatic that way and a whole lot safer. Come in, come in.
Hello, it's me.
Keep your distance, you're in quarantine.
Not anymore. I sort out the bars with my nail file. Besides, my spots are fading, aren't they, Susie?
A little, Harry, but there's such a lot of them, aren't there?
Joaquimo, I came here to make a confession.
Sorry, we haven't got time for that now.
No, this election has gone far enough.
You mean you got instructions from Washington?
No, I don't ever get any instructions from Washington. This was Susie's idea, Joaquimo. She just made up one of her little stories.
I haven't got time. Wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me you are not the president's right-hand man?
Right.
You're under arrest.
Arrest?
What for?
Suspicion of being an American spy. Take him away.
En route to the Huskow, my little escort party and I encountered a new visitor to the island, a dapper, ambassadorial sort of character with a crew cut. Look here, are you an American?
I am.
Oh, thank heaven. Maybe you can get me out of this. My name is Lime.
Lime? Did you say Lime?
Yes, Lime.
Not Lime of Buzzo.
Well, yes.
I'm Jones of Friezo. Good day, sir.
Hello, get me the newspapers. Get me the newspapers on the phone. Quiet now, everybody. Quiet now. Let's keep our heads. Hello, hello. Is this the editor's office? Quiet! Here's your headline for tomorrow. Fraud at polls discovered. Martial law declared.
That's right.
Call out the guards. Close all the bars and the billiard halls. Shut off the telephone.
Wait, I can improve that headline.
Quiet! Never mind the newspapers. Send the boys out to burn up the ballot boxes.
Too late.
What do you mean?
Too late.
Too late?
It doesn't matter. Repeat it. Campo's elected.
Yes, but it does matter if he's alive.
Alive? You mean Campo isn't dead after all?
He certainly isn't. He's been in America all this time working for Friezo.
What's Friezo?
Another one of those soft drinks.
Campo's been working as a bottle washer in the Scranton Works. Well, you know how Friezo feels about Buzzo.
Signora, this is not a competition between soda pops.
Oh, yes, it is. Now, Friezo sees a way to edge Buzzo out of Milenia. They've chartered a special plane.
A special plane?
Yes. President-elect Campo is due into Milenia tonight.
Well, you know what that means.
It means a special plane for us going out. Well, Your Excellency, we have dared greatly, and we have failed. Yes, what do you want?
My name is Jones.
Who cares?
Jones of Friezo. Signora, Your Excellency, gentlemen, I beg to inform you that Milenia is liberated.
What do you mean, liberated?
You must face the logic of history, Signora.
Yes, democracy has come to Milenia by courtesy of Friezo.
Viva Friezo!
Included in the liberation, I'm glad to say, was one slightly spotted jailbird by the name of Harry Lime. I was also included on the passenger list of the outgoing plane. And there you have it, the inside dope on the birth of a nation. I'll never go straight again.
February 15th, 1952, The Lives of Harry Lime on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Part 3 of the 5-part yours truly Johnny Dollar story, The Qui Bono Matter. Qui Bono, who benefits? This episode originally broadcast February 15th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
This is Tom Bates.
Oh, how are you?
Dr. Praley just called me, Mr. Dollar. He says you've been threatening him.
Oh, I wouldn't call it a threat, Mr. Bates. I simply told him that if he won't let me question Miss Parker, then I'll have to get a court order to do it anyway.
Well, as acting county attorney here, I think I could block that order, Mr. Dollar.
Maybe, but I doubt if it would be a very smart move.
Now, you look here. She's in no shape to answer questions. She's under doctor's care.
It's been 5 days now since the shooting.
She's still very upset, nervous. She might say things that could be misconstrued, that she didn't mean.
Oh, what things?
How would I know?
I just thought you might. Since you've already questioned her once, right after she killed her father. Wasn't she upset then? Did she say anything you misconstrued?
I'm warning you, Dollar.
And I'm warning you. I'm going to talk to that girl one way or another.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location Green Pass, Virginia, to the Home Office, Surety Mutual Insurance Limited, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, the Qui Bono Matter. Qui Bono, Latin for who benefits. Item 8, $1. Transportation out to Sammy Drake's Happy Hollow Roadhouse on the highway north of town. On the way there, I thought over what I'd learned so far, and I realized it wasn't much. On the face of it, the thing was simple enough, no mystery at all. 5 nights ago, Dan Parker, the local county attorney, had returned from a business trip and entered his sleeping house. His adopted daughter, Luann, mistaking him for a prowler, had shot him to death in the darkness. There it was, an accident, pure and simple. The coroner said so, the sheriff agreed, and the whole town was determined to keep it that way. But I still couldn't buy it quite that easily. Not when there was a $100,000 life insurance policy payable to Luann Parker, the girl who'd pulled the trigger. Maybe I'd find some answers at the roadhouse. The Happy Hollow was like 1,000 other places of its kind. A neon-lighted barn set 50 yards off the road. Inside, a jukebox, a raucous bar, and a scattering of tables around a splintery dance floor. Saturday nights, a 4-piece band. Probably a game or two going on in the back room, and whatever else the local sports might demand. It was early yet, and the joint hadn't started to jump.
What's the word, Mac?
Save your money and buy booze.
Yeah, man. Out of towner, huh?
Depends on which town.
Any town but this one, man. Here it's for the birds.
Oh, I don't know. Looks to me like you got a good setup here.
I'm eating. But it ain't easy, man. It's rough.
Oh, it'll be rougher, Sammy, with a new county attorney.
What's the pitch, Mitch?
That's your name, isn't it? Sammy Drake?
That's a crime, maybe?
Might be. I don't know yet.
You with the feds?
No.
Syndicate man?
No, I'm an insurance investigator.
Insurance? You mean protection?
Not the kind you're talking about, Sammy. I'm here in connection with Dan Parker's death.
You mean you're legit?
That's right.
Well, tie me up and mail me off. I thought you were somebody putting a bite on me.
I am.
Yeah?
Yeah. I got some questions, Sammy, and I want some answers.
About that Parker rub-out?
Right.
Well, you're out of luck, Chuck. I don't know nothing from nothing about nothing. See what I mean?
I got reason to think different.
How so? Somebody been passing the word?
Maybe.
2 get you 5. It was that Bates character. Am I in?
I couldn't say.
Sure it was. The new county attorney. He's got a big deal now. And he'd give his left eyeball to put the finger on me.
Why so? Why has he got it in for you, Sammy?
Because he thinks his doll has been...
You mean the Parker girl?
I forget.
You want to do it the hard way, Sammy?
No speak English.
I can get Tom Bates to issue a warrant, you know. He'd love to have that chance. So you can either talk to me here and now, or you can talk to him and the sheriff in the basement of the courthouse.
Rough and tough, huh?
If that's what it takes, yes.
Come on back to the office.
All right.
What'd you say your name was, Buzz?
I didn't. It's Dollar, Johnny Dollar.
Dollar, huh?
Yeah, rhymes with collar.
I always like to be wise to who's putting the slug on me. Come on in.
Thanks.
How about a drink?
No, not now, thanks.
Well, I guess I'll have a short one for my health. You hungry? Like a steak?
Later, maybe.
They're the most. This is a crummy joint, strictly for the sticks, but the food's good. Well, here's a go.
Yeah.
Maybe you think I'm trying to stall.
I know you are, Sammy.
No, not really. Not now, anyway. Because when I stop and think about it, I can't see where I got anything to worry about. You see what I mean?
You haven't, unless you had something to do with Dan Parker's death.
Now, let's relax, Max. The way I get the word, nobody had anything to do with it except that doll.
Could be.
Could be nothing. Did she blast him or didn't she?
Apparently she did.
Thought he was a burglar. That's a rich one. And she's halfway right at that.
Meaning?
Look, Dollar, I'm on a level with you. If you got any idea that I wanted Dan Parker knocked off, you're way out there. You want to know why?
I can probably guess.
I'll tell you why. He was my fix in this town. 3 years I've had this place open, and I've never been touched. So why would I want to put myself out of business?
Oh. How much was the payoff?
$1.50 a month.
Maybe you figured you could make a better deal with somebody else.
Yeah? Who? Not with that stuffed shirt Bates. He's just been itching to get at me. But Parker kept a lid on him.
How about the sheriff?
Who knows? I'm going to give him a pitch, of course. It's my only chance now to stay in business. But I don't know if he'll play. See what I mean?
All right, Sammy. Let's go back to the question I asked you outside there. Why does Bates have it in for you?
Because he's got the drooling goose for that Parker kid. And he didn't like it much when she kept hanging around me.
How'd you feel about it?
You want the truth? I didn't like it much either.
Why not?
She was too wired up and spoiled. Used to get in her own way. Oh, this town's treated her like a queen or something. She figured she could do as she pleased. Well, that don't go in a joint like this.
What do you mean?
Well, these lads come in here, get a few shots under their belt. Dame like that starts to mean trouble. I didn't want her hanging around. I had a good thing going here, and I wasn't about to get it lost up. But it was no use. I couldn't keep her out.
What did her father think about it?
He didn't like the idea, but he couldn't do much about it. She got her own way with him, the same as with everybody else.
Except when she wanted to go to New York.
Well, nobody can win them all.
I understand you put that idea in her head, Sammy.
Then you better take a different understanding.
Yeah?
Yeah. She was bugged up on that idea before I ever met her. That's why she started coming in here. She wanted me to put her hep on how it was in the big, wild city. She wanted to know how to get in. What was the names of all the spots, including the rough ones? How the rackets worked. How would I know how the rackets worked?
I didn't say a word, Sammy.
You know something? In some ways, that kid's as smart as a mink. But underneath, she's a regular hick, just like the rest of them around here. She thinks that stuff is glamour, the big-time, hot stuff. And she was busting her braces to get at it. Even this place, this crummy clip joint. To her, it was wicked and exciting. Oh, man, how square can you get?
I suppose you tried to talk her out of going to New York.
Do I look crazy or something? I was all for it, anywhere. As long as it got her off my neck.
Oh, a beautiful girl like Lou Ann Parker on your neck and you were trying to shake her off? Oh, Sammy, I'm losing you.
Oh, look, Dollar, when it comes to dames, I've got as fast an eye as the next guy, but with that chick, man, I unpack my toothbrush and I stay home.
Why?
Why? She's got this whole town fooled. Everybody but me. A sweet little thing in ruffled rompers, bucking for a halo. Well, I got news for you, brother. She ain't.
And you're the only one who really knows her. Is that what you're claiming, Sammy?
Sure. It's a big laugh. But that kid's smart. And inside, she's colder than a fish. I'm a fairly tough baby, Dollar, but I'll tell you something straight. I'm scared of that girl.
Expense account item 9, $6.90. Steak and incidentals at the Happy Hollow Roadhouse. And Sammy Drake was right. The steak was good. Item 10, $1.75. Transportation out to the Green Pass Railroad Depot, 3 miles east of town. I tried to see that night station agent earlier in the day, but he was sleeping then. But it was nearly midnight now, and I figured he'd be on duty. He was. Good evening, sir.
Hold it, son. Got a message come in here. Yes, sirree. Old number 8's going to be right on time.
I'm glad to hear it. I want to...
Hold it, son. Got to answer it, you know. Mighty important business getting these here trains through.
Yes, I imagine it is.
Hold it! Yes, sir. Right on time. Be here in about 2 minutes now. Well, son, what's on your mind?
I wondered if you were on duty the night Dan Parker got back in from Richmond. The night he was killed.
Oh, yes, indeedy. You must be that fella Sheriff Jim Peterson was telling me about. That fella from the insurance company.
Yes, that's right.
Well, then I guess it's all right to talk to you. Leastwise, that's what Jim said.
Nice of him.
It's a mighty terrible thing. A downright tragedy for that poor motherless girl. Making a mistake like that, shooting her own father.
Yeah, rough deal. Did you notice Mr. Parker when he got off the train that night?
Well, of course I did. I always notice anybody getting off. It's part of my job, son.
Yeah, well,
It was right about this same time of night. He come in on number 8, the same one that's due in now.
Did you talk with him?
Of course I talked with him. I know Dan Parker since with both pups. He said, "Hi, Willie." I said, "Fine." And he said, "How's the family?" And I said, "Fine." And he said, "Well, you know, we talked. We had to talk more, too, but there's some fellow with him."
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
I reckon it was just some passenger he'd struck up the time of day with. Dan was on... There. You hear that, son? She's a-coming across the Briar Creek Bridge right now, right on time,
Well,
too.
look, what happened to this stranger? Did he and Dan Parker leave the station together?
Oh, no. No, they just talked while the engine was taking on water. The fella got back on the train before it pulled out. He's just going through.
Did you hear what they were talking about?
No, can't say that it did, son. Most likely didn't amount to nothing, though.
No, I suppose not.
By golly, I did hear one thing.
Oh, what?
Just when the train was starting up, the fella leaned out and yelled, "Thanks a lot, I'll be seeing you." And Dan just grinned, waved back, and went on down the platform to the telephone booth.
You, don't know what he meant by that remark.
Oh, nothing, more than likely. Just one of them things you say, you know. But that's life for you, because he won't be seeing him after all. See, she's coming around the bend there, son. I gotta get the mail sack out. You got any more questions? You're gonna have to ask him on a run. The mail's got to get through.
I wouldn't think of stopping it. Hey, look, you said Dan Parker made a call from that telephone booth over there. You know who he talked to?
Nobody, son.
What do you mean?
Why, he come back and said get a busy signal. I guess he'd have to walk home. And that's what he done. That was his mistake.
That was one of them anyway.
You got any more questions? I reckon they'll have to wait.
I haven't got any more.
How's that, son?
I said thanks a lot.
What for?
Well, there you got me. I don't know.
here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, a tense interview, a subtle attack by a shrewd and dangerous opponent, and complete surrender. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Les Crutchfield, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
February 15th, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar on Classic Radio Theater. A reminder, you can get a full collection of yours truly, Johnny Dollar from my friend Ted at RadioMemories.com on CD, cassette, or flash drive. RadioMemories.com. Please thank this radio station, support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around. And don't forget, our shows are available anywhere podcasts are served. You can find them on Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, or on YouTube. You can subscribe to our page on YouTube. Search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox through any of those sites. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And please, my friends, visit my webpage, classicradio.stream. You can get all this information right over there. Thank you so much for tuning in today on your favorite station. Tell all your friends their great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater, here on your favorite radio station.